From the very beginning, my heart belonged to him. I believed every smile, every promise, and every whispered word of love he gave me. He was my safe place, my future, my everything. I never thought I'd find myself caught in a love story where my devotion would be met with betrayal. We met when the world felt brighter, and I swore the universe had finally given me my soulmate. His laughter was contagious, his presence magnetic, and his affection wrapped me in a warmth I had never known. I gave him my trust, without hesitation, never imagining that trust would later shatter into pieces I could never put back together. Over time, though, I started to notice small changes, little cracks in the perfect image I had painted of us. His messages grew shorter, his eyes wandered more, his excuses multiplied. He claimed late nights at work, business dinners, and endless stress. I wanted to believe him, so I silenced the doubts in my heart. After all, love teaches patience, doesn't it? But one night, my world collapsed. I found a message on his phone. Words not meant for me, but for another woman. Words that once belonged to me. My heart stopped as I read lines of affection, of promises, of longing. He had been giving my love to someone else, and in that instant, I realized the truth. I loved him with everything I had, but he loved another. I confronted him, my hands trembling, my chest tight with heartbreak. He didn't deny it. He didn't even fight for us. Instead, he stood there silently, his guilt heavy in the air, while I drowned in betrayal. The man I thought would choose me every day had chosen someone else. Leaving was the hardest choice I ever made. My heart wanted to stay, but my soul knew I deserved better. Love should never feel like a battlefield where only one person fights. I walked away carrying scars, but also a lesson. No matter how deeply you love someone, you cannot make them love you back. And so, my story became one of survival. I loved, but he loved another. Yet from that pain, I learned to love myself first. And that was a love no one could take away. The weeks after leaving him were a blur. Nights felt endless, filled with questions that had no answers. I lay awake replaying every memory, wondering how long he had been slipping away from me, and how I missed the signs. My heart still clung to the moments we shared. The laughter, the tender touches, the way he once looked at me, as if I was his entire world. But those memories now felt poisoned, because behind them lived the truth. He had already started looking at someone else that way. Friends tried to comfort me. They said I deserved better, that I was strong enough to move on. But they didn't see the storm inside me. Love doesn't vanish overnight. It lingers like a ghost, haunting every corner of your life, reminding you of what you once had, but could never return to. One evening, I saw them together by accident, his hand resting where mine used to be, his smile brighter than I had seen in months, his eyes glowing with the love that once belonged to me. In that moment, it hit me with brutal clarity. I had been replaced. He had not just strayed. He had chosen her. The pain nearly crushed me. I wanted to scream, to demand why I wasn't enough, why my love didn't hold him the way hers did. But instead, I stayed silent, because deep down, I realized something I hadn't before. Love that can be so easily given away was never truly mine to begin with. So, I made a promise to myself. I would not chase someone who had already walked away. I would not beg to be chosen. Instead, I would rebuild. Piece by piece, day by day, I would rise from the ruins of what he left behind. It wasn't easy. Healing never is. There were nights I cried until dawn, mornings where I didn't want to get out of bed, moments when I almost called him just to hear his voice again. But each time I reminded myself, I loved him, yes, but he loved another. And staying in that pain would mean abandoning myself. And slowly, something shifted. I began to find myself again. In the silence of lonely nights, I discovered strength I never knew I had. In the laughter of friends, I found light again. In the mirror, I finally saw not the woman he walked away from, but the woman who had survived heartbreak and was still standing tall, because sometimes losing someone you love is not the end. It's the beginning of finding yourself.